So not too long ago, I made a video recapping the main Archon Quest, and if you watched that video, I skipped the entirety of Nefer's portion because it doesn't really contribute much to the rest of the story. Now of course, it does have some contribution because if you remember, the reason her portion even happened was because of River's interference. I also told you guys that most of the important context that is relevant in the Archon Quest itself is locked behind Nefer's character story and how she obtained her moon wheel. Her tribe also has strong connection with King Deshret, Goddess of Flowers, the Three Moons, and also Tule Tula. In fact, the Curriculum of Secrets OST name is called Shetao of Tule Tula and Pushpafatika. The song's name itself is quite interesting because it is connected to her own lore that honestly could have been elaborated more. That's why this video is here, and for today's video, we'll explore her lore together and why it's a lot more relevant lore-wise than we might have thought. Also, her story could also answer, who gives out the moon wheels if the moon goddesses already perished? I know, right? Quite curious, so be sure to stick around to find out. As always, don't forget to give this video a like and comment so the channel can be noticed by the algorithm. My name is Glitchxcity and I make lore and commentary videos on this channel to keep you company. But before that, Luna 2 is finally here, with Nefer joining the playable character lineup. She is a new Dendro DPS that specializes in Luna Bloom, a strong character that also synergizes with Llama if you pulled her in the last patch. Alongside her is Farina, our beloved Hydro Archon that specializes in support and off-field DPS. If you need extra Prime Gems to pull for them, then allow me to introduce you to Lootbar. Lootbar is a reliable site for a fast, secure, and super reliable top-up experience for a Genesis Crystal. Additionally, they provide 25% discounts compared to normal prices in-game. Once you start your top-up, they will only ask for your UID, nothing else, so your privacy is guaranteed, and your items will arrive to your account in less than 2 minutes, including the first double top-up rewards if you haven't done that yet. With Miliastro Wonderland's release, you can also top up Kernel Nexus in Lootbar the same way as you do it with Primogems. If you're playing on consoles like PlayStation 5 or Xbox, they're available for both of them as well. Over 20,000 Trustpilot reviews are showing their satisfaction after using Lootbar, and if you have any problem with your transaction, their customer service is always available around the clock to help you out. Other than Genshin Impact, Lootbar is also available for other games as well, such as Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, Sailor Zone Zero, etc. Click the link in the description below and register to get an additional 10% coupon that can be combined with all of the discounts and receive special discounts for returning customers. Remember, discounts are great, but don't forget to spend responsibly. Now let's continue to the content. Before I answer the question, let me give you a bit more context on Nefer's Office OST and her backstory and how she even obtained her moon wheel. So the name has 3 words. All of them are crucial enough for this video, and strangely enough, is in 3 different languages. Shetao is in Egyptian, Tule Tula is in Arabic, and Pushpafatika is in Sanskrit, an ancient Indian language. Shetao is an Egyptian deity of a serpent and is usually written as Shetu. Apparently, it is a deity with another god that sits on its back and is usually referred to as a celestial snake or a celestial god. However, it could also refer to Set, an Egyptian god that is known to be the god of storm, chaos, and disorder. This god is relevant with Horus, Ra, and Thoth, as Thoth became the mediator in Set's conflict with Horus. Either way, it is safe to assume that Shetao in this case is a snake, and because snakes are usually depicted as a deception in literacy, then it could likely refer to Thoth as he is the Lord of Lies. But there's also another meaning for Shetao that is quite literal, and I think is the main intention of this particular OST specifically. It's these letters and hieroglyphics that I unfortunately cannot read. The anglicized word of this is Shetao, and the word itself meant secret. Considering the literal meaning itself is still connected to our previous analysis, either way, it's connected to both Nefer and Thoth. Tule Tula is quite self-explanatory, a city in the desert, and the reason it's mentioned was because of Nefer's now assimilated tribe that is a direct descendant of the city. They also worship the goddess of flowers. Speaking of her, Pushpafatika is a flower garden that is mentioned in ancient stories of epic Ramayana, and in Genshin's context, this relates to Nabu Malikata herself because one of her titles is Mistress of Pushpafatika, and it could be her garden in Aikanum. While the meaning of its name, by that I mean Pushpafatika, is still left unknown, the name did get mentioned in one of the books in Sumeru called Scroll of Streaming Song. Usually books like this should be taken with a grain of salt because they're not as superior as artifact lore. However, this book is more of a historical record that was found by Fahumana researchers in the desert. In fact, this book is the first time we learned the name Winged One as one of the Heavenly Principles' titles. This name was recently resurfaced in the finale of the Deep Galleries, hence why in the modern Genshin days, we know that one of the Heavenly Principles' title is the Winged One. Now, the book itself is talking about Nabu Malikata and Rukkhadevata's first encounter, where Nabu Malikata gave Rukkhadevata 3 riddles for her to solve. It doesn't really go beyond that, but it does talk about the Heavenly Principles and Kaenria. Nabu Malikata also posed these riddles to King Deshret, but it was said that he could not answer them. But that's mostly it. Until this Archon Quest, we don't really have a lot to go with. Now before we continue, let me recap you a little bit of what happened in Nefer's portion of the Song of Welkin Moon Archon Quest. So after the gang got transported into Nefer's memories, we learned that she used to be a member of the Shimti tribe, with her father Sinuhe as the leader of it. This tribe is a descendant from the city of Tuletula, and they praise the goddess of flowers. The Shimtis used to get along with the other tribes, that being the Iap and the Unut. But then, the Shimtis are at odds with the Iap tribe due to the scarce water supply. Eventually, Sinuhe was assassinated by the Iaps because he stole their water supply. But before he was assassinated, he asked the representative of the academia to take Nefer under their wing as a student. Many years later, Nefer got accepted into the academia. But after Nefer found out about her father's desperate attempts to save his tribe, Nefer eventually quit and orchestrated an assassination attempt on the Iap tribe's chief along with the Unuts with a non-existent 50 million mora. Nefer got her revenge, and it was said that after she did the stat, a huge temple appeared near her already deserted tribe. In the Archon Quest, Nefer and the gang were supposed to enter the temple and they will then exit the memory. But of course, that was not the case and they were interrupted by Rever instead. The recap ends here, but here's what should have happened if Rever did not interrupt us. The moment Nefer approached the temple, she met with an ordinary black cat. However, it was then revealed that this cat contained Thought's consciousness, and it was during this moment that he introduced himself to Nefer. Long story short, he boasted how he used to be the bridge of the 3 moon goddesses' will and guide the people of the desert with them. He also got recognized quickly by King Deshret and even got appointed as one of the 7 pillars by him. He claimed to have planted some flowers alongside the goddess of flowers in her garden. It's important to note that Thoth was already imprisoned the moment he talked with Nefer, hence why he appeared in the body of a black cat that is now known as Ashru. He could only gain his freedom if he could answer the 3 questions that King Deshret asked him, and wanted Nefer to be his envoy and find the answers that he needed in exchange for powers that came from the moon. Now of course, Nefer saw through Thoth's lies, let alone Thoth's title is the Lord of Lies. She was also aware that Thoth and his other 2 companions, Herishef and Sobek, were exiled by King Deshret to Aru, not Aru village, Aru. Nefer knew he was only trying to break free after all. Nefer only said that she did not believe anything that he said, but she did believe the power that Thoth was about to give her. According to her moon wheel story and her own voiceover, she got her moon wheel from Thoth years after she left Thoth in that temple. Until today, it felt like Thoth has been spying on her, and the fact that Ashru is still there could likely mean that Thoth will appear to Nefer again someday. That's pretty much how the story ended. This video was made before Sumeru's event was out, by the way, and considering we'll likely see the image of the 3 Magi in that event, we'll likely get more answers as to who Thoth actually is because his figure is actually quite prominent in this update. However, I want to point out that what he said to Nefer is, as much of a lie it is, actually contains a little bit of truth. Well, not necessarily the whole thing, but when it comes to him guiding the people with the will of the 3 moons, that one is true because in Nefer's signature weapon, it describes him as a secret envoy to the moon and stars. The game and the weapon did not describe who Thoth works for, but assuming he himself boasts about his work and his connection with Nabu Malikata, we can assume that it's her. After all, Nabu Malikata is the closest entity in Sumeru history that is connected to the 3 moon goddesses, so if there's anyone that is closely connected to Thoth, then it could be her. Whether he is a Jinni or not, not. I don't think he is, because we learned that genies can't stay up, if not, can't live in not cry at all because of the intense Kuvaki energy that affects them. Dory's genie is one such culprit, and he suddenly passed out the moment she stepped foot in not cry. Also, this weapon seems to confirm how his statue manages to be seen everywhere in the desert. Apparently, after Deshret's fall, a noble by the name of Gordas approached Ibis King's temple, which could be the same one that Nefer visited. Thoth gave Gordas some riddles for him to answer, and after answering it, Thoth gave Gordas his staff, and he eventually became the king of Tule-Tula with Thoth's power. Since then, he changed his name to Salep Dawle, and according to the primal obelisks that you can read throughout the desert, it is said that Salep Dawle was gifted an illusion by Deshret to legitimize his reign, and to honor that illusion, he began creating statues of Deshret throughout the desert. Now, if you know when Deshret died, this of course is not true because he died before Gurabat was even created, and Tule-Tula was made after Gurabat. The weapon also states the same thing as well, where Deshret already succumbed to the forbidden knowledge the moment Thoth was already imprisoned. So the King Deshret that Salep Dawle created was indeed Thoth, and he likely knew what he was doing by deceiving the people around him. Looking at how this works, it seems Thoth's hunger for power was by using the people he somehow incited to do the dirty work for him, which could be the same thing that he was supposed to do for Nefer. Until today, Nefer still tries to find the answers of the 3 questions that Thoth gave her, but at the same time, Nefer Anyway, she never really wanted to give the correct answer that King Deshret wanted to Thoth either, because she doesn't want to set Thoth free from his imprisonment. Ideally, this should be the end of this video. Yes, it is short, but you know that short videos are not really my thing unless it's shorts or TikTok. Go follow it, by the way. So let's expand this video a bit and do a little bit of theorizing. Most of the things we theorize from here will be mostly about Thoth and his connection with the moon, his important role in Sumeru Desert's rise and fall, and then we can answer the main question of this video, the moon wheels. So first things first, I mentioned in my live stream analysis video that Thoth will appear in the Archon Quest. That turned out to be half true because he was mentioned rather than appearing, but considering few lines in the trailer seems to be Thoth's voice and we still have yet to hear them, then we can assume that we will hear it in the Sumeru event instead. Considering that Nefer also obtained her moon wheel relatively recently, this meant that Thoth is still alive until this day, but whether Harishaf and Sobek are still alive, I can't really answer that. With that context around, I still believe we will learn more about what forbidden knowledge is, but I don't think that it'll be the main focus of the quest, but rather discover the truth behind the temple that Layla got sunk into. It is the same description in Nefer's signature weapon where Thoth's temple was deep underground, and judging from how he spoke in the trailer, it seems he was about to pose the gang a riddle, the same as what he would do with Gordas, the far side of eternity, and what obliterates love and hate being mentioned in the trailer could be a part of Thoth's riddle. But the fragile crown was shattered by lies in the end, as mentioned by al-ahmar. Yes, that information is super duper important, could likely a description of what happened to Gordas. But with that, I personally don't really believe that Thoth is just a liar. I mean, sure, he is the Lord of Lies, but even in his lies, he added a little bit of truth in them. It's the same as Shadow Milk Cookie. Like the moons, for example, he was indeed a secret envoy to the moons and stars, and if the far side of eternity was stated by him to the group, then his connection towards the 3 moon goddesses are a lot more in between because of his direct connection with the goddess of flowers. After all, it is said that his temple is near Tule-Tula, and according to Nefer's weapon, that city is now what we call as the Garden of Endless Pillars, the same one-time domain that you can visit in the Sumeru Desert. So if there's someone who knows about the secrets of the Goddess of Flowers and Tule-Tula, and possibly Pushpavatika, then it could likely be him. Personally, it's just a bit hard to think of anyone else other than him that knows about the knowledge of Tule-Tula and Nabu Malikata, let alone has a strong connection with the Said City. So for my 2 cents for the next event, we'll likely learn more about Layla, Thoth, and the Goddess of Flowers. We'll likely learn more about Tule-Tula as well. Now, speaking of Tule-Tula, there's even more connection to Nabu Malikata when it comes to this city. The timeline itself is very weird because it is said that the city arose from Nabu Malikata's tears. In any case, Too Tula back then was said to be the largest and the most powerful city in the desert thanks to the Temple of Silence, but it was also because of this organization that the siege of Gorabat started. Ever since the temple left, the city was destroyed and Siphos, the man who was supposed to protect the city, was then slain by a mercenary who then trod into the rainforest. Now funnily enough, Siphos' weapon, Siphos Moonlight, was said to have a cruel genie indwelt in it, but this genie also knew that Siphos' demise would end the way it is, as they were already predetermined by the three moon goddesses. Since Siphos, or the genie in his weapon, and Thoth himself have strong connection with the moon, then we can safely say that the goddess of flowers, or the angels at least, were also created by the three moons, or at least using the power of the three moon goddesses. After all, it's also the biggest possibility I can think of because Nefer's moon wheel came from Thoth, so if Thoth can give mortals something that powerful, then it could likely be from Nabu Malikata, who has a strong connection towards the three moon goddesses. Now let's go back to the original question. Who can give moon wheels in this day and age if the moon goddesses already perished? Now believe it or not, we have absolutely no idea how the people of Tevat, or at least the people in Notcry, obtained the moon wheels in the first place. We somehow got our answer when it comes to visions, and they're more than likely given by the gods of Celestia, likely the Shades themselves. A said it herself that she doesn't have the will to give out visions. Nahida states in her allegory that visions are made to spy on humans, and while no one mentioned this, Mavrika states that visions are gifted by the gods, which is a proof that she herself does not give out visions despite being the Pyro Archon, and the Shades are likely the one giving them. It became more evident with Aino and Yehuda because both of them owned a vision instead of a moon wheel despite their casing being the same as moon wheels. And judging from Aino's character story, it seems her vision was obtained very recently. The only entity we knew to give out visions is Nuvalat, as mentioned by his own vision story, and it is implied that he gave them personally, with the first person that ever received it was Farina. One huge difference that differentiates between visions and moon wheels is that moon wheels are using the power of the Kuvaki, while visions are the 7 elements. It's pretty much the lore of the lunar reactions in gameplay. Now the casing itself, I still have no idea how to answer that, but the likeliest case that I can think of right now is that Aino and Yehuda gained their visions in Notcry, hence why their casing is Notcry equivalent. So far, the pattern of how one obtains a moon wheel is quite consistent, but take it with a grain of salt because even I have some doubts with it. In Innafa's case, her moon wheel was originally stolen by the 8th ruler, and she stole it from someone in a place called Niflheim, likely in Notcry or in Snezhnaya. It was only activated recently in the Journey Home Archon Quest, and it was reactivated rather than her receiving a new one. Lama didn't even remember how she obtained her moon wheel, and even Columbina doesn't know how to answer it when she was asked about it by Lama. All we know, however, is that she obtained it from birth, so even when she was a young baby, she already received her moon wheel, and the closest answer she can conclude was all the way from Hyperborea, where the 3 moon goddesses were still alive back then. Flint's got his moon wheel because he mistaken it for a brilliant gem in an auction, which just like Innova, he could likely reactivated his moon wheel rather than receiving a new one. Which comes to Nefer, where just like we already talked about not too long ago, she obtained it from Thoth, who somehow gave it to her a bit later than promised. So far, there's one interesting detail that remains consistent. All of them are not new, but rather reactivated. Obviously, you can argue that Lama's moon wheel is new, but even Columbina finds it to be strange that Lama got a moon wheel herself. Lama even said it herself in her moon wheel story that it's probably related to Hyperborea, which could meant that her moon wheel was somehow reactivated to the moment she was born. Hi there, Editing Echo here. So I got a bit of a mistake with Flince's Moonwheel story because one of you pointed it out in my recent post. How it happened is that it just appeared in Flince's showroom for no reason, and Flince mistook it as one of the gemstones he had forgotten. Look, my English is not perfect, so I make mistakes on something like this, let alone they use figurative language a lot in this game, which is something that I don't understand most of the time. But for the sake of this video, I want to believe that Flince might tell a little bit of truth truth in his story, because his second character story talks about his origin to Iglua, but not the whole thing he said are the complete truth either, because it's based on a local legend. His third character story, however, confirms everything Flynn said in his second character story in the form of actual truth of what really happened. The Moonwheel story also said that he mistaken it as a gemstone, like how Iglua reacted at his Moonwheel at first, so it's possible that the Moonwheel he obtained could be an ordinary gemstone at first, like how it looked like with Inafas, and then it's reactivated once again. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt, and I just need to point this out anyway for the sake of the theory. At the end of the day, we have no idea how Moonwheels appear anyway, despite the Moon Goddess has already perished. It's very likely that it's related to Columbina's existence since she's a Moon Goddess, and it is very possible that the distribution of Moonwheels are the main reason why her powers are drained without her consent. Okay, back to the video. There's this common mistake that I found, which is that Moonwheels are from Notcry. Now that is half true. Most of them are from Notcry. However, how to activate them is not always in Notcry, and we saw it ourselves where a Moonwheel was reactivated in Natlan out of all places. The second we know is Nefer's Moonwheel, where it originated from Sumeru, or more specifically, either it's from Tuletula, Aikanum, or Pushpafatika. Since Thoth himself gifted Nefer this Moonwheel, then this Moonwheel could originally be Thoth's. After all, we learn in the Archon Quest that Nefer's power is also a part of Thoth's power, so it's very safe to assume that Thoth's power originated from the Moonwheel, and now that Nefer agreed to help Thoth in finding the answers that King Dashret seek, it is now in Nefer's position. This also makes perfect sense because unlike visions where the Shades can give them, there is no possible candidate in this current Genshin timeline that can give the Moonwheels because the 3 Moon Goddesses already perished and the Moonwheels came from them. So the only logical answer for one to receive it is not by having a god to give them, but rather the previous owner to give them and have the new owner to reactivate it. After all of these are supported in each and every Moonwheel story and voice lines that we knew of that it's very unlikely that it came from the gods. Llama states that there's no way to verify that Moonwheels came from the gods, and Nefer also stated that owning a Moonwheel felt like Thoth is spying on her 24/7, matching with Nahida's vision voice line that visions are made to spy on its wielders. Even Flynn said that he doesn't need his Moonwheel, which makes perfect sense because he himself is a creation of the Frost Moon as per the finale of the Deep Gallery. So before we end, I just want to point out that the Sumeru Desert's lore is extremely huge and convoluted, just like how stressful exploring the damn map is. I have to make a lot of corrections in this video, hence why it's a little bit late, and I'll likely add more in the reply of the sponsored pinned comment. Also, I'm not fully recovered from my sickness's aftermath yet, and I think you can tell from my voice. It's just an aftermath, don't worry too much about it. That being said, I made an interesting discovery that Zandig, or the tourist's alleged real name, was involved in research regarding Gurabat in one of his notes that you can find near Port Ormos. His discovery basically said that there is a ruined golem near Gurabat, which we did experience in Jet's questline and even move around with them. It is said that the ruined golems were sent to Sumeru, likely to protect the citizens from the cataclysm. Considering Gurabat has strong involvement in Sumeru's history, the Jinnis, and is the main reason why Tuletula fell, then we might learn more about Zandig as well in this event. It is not completely surprising if that's the case because Zandig, or the Torre in the present day, will be heavily involved in Notcry anyway, so it's good to know bits of his lore prior to his Notcry debut. In any case, we can theorize more about this once the new event is out. Personally, I don't think this event will be just a filler event, but again, we never know. They like to make events look a lot more important than they should be in the trailers, but either way, I hope we get to learn more about Layla and Thoth in the upcoming events, and possibly about Tuletula and also the Goddess of Flowers. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tjena!